Session 25. Origins and Related Words. 1. About keeping one's mouth shut. If you let your mind play over some of the taciturn people you know, you will realize that their abnormal disinclination to conversation makes them seem morose, sullen, and unfriendly. Cal Coolidge's taciturnity was world famous, and no one, I am sure, ever conceived of him as cheerful, over-friendly, or particularly sociable. There are doubtless many possible causes of such verbal rejection of the world, perhaps lack of self-assurance, feelings of inadequacy or hostility, excessive seriousness or introspection, or just plain having nothing to say. Maybe, in Coolidge's case, he was saving up his words. After he did not choose to run in 1928, he wrote a daily column for the New York Herald Tribune at a rumored price of $2 a word, and according to most critics, probably all Democrats, he had seemed wiser when he kept silent. Coolidge hailed from New England, and taciturnity in that part of the country, so some people say, is considered a virtue. Who knows, the cause may be geographical and climatic rather than psychological. Taciturn is from a Latin verb taceo, to be silent, and is one of those words whose full meaning cannot be expressed by any other combination of syllables. It has many synonyms, among them silent, uncommunicative, reticent, reserved, secretive, close-lipped, and close-mouthed. But no other word indicates the permanent, habitual, and temperamental disinclination to talk implied by taciturn. 2. Better left unsaid. Tacit derives also from tachio. Here is a man dying of cancer. He suspects what his disease is, and everyone else, of course, knows. Yet he never mentions the dread word, and no one who visits him ever breathes a syllable of it in his hearing. It is tacitly understood by all concerned that the word will remain forever unspoken. Such a situation today, however, may or may not be typical. There appears to be a growing tendency among physicians and family to be open and honest with people who are dying. Consider another situation. An executive is engaging in extracurricular activities with her secretary. Yet during office time, they are as formal and distant as any two human beings can well be. Neither of them ever said to the other, "Now look here, we may be lovers after 5 o'clock, but between 9 and 5 we must preserve the utmost decorum, okay?" Such speech, such a verbal arrangement is considered unnecessary. So we may say that the two have a tacit agreement, that is, nothing was ever actually said, to maintain a complete employer-employee relationship during office hours. Anything tacit, then, is unspoken, unsaid, not verbalized. We speak of a tacit agreement, arrangement, acceptance, rejection, assent, refusal, etc. A person is never called tacit. The noun is tacitness. Bear in mind that you can transform any adjective into a noun by adding ness, though in many cases there may be a more sophisticated or more common noun form. Changing the a of the root taceo to I and adding the prefix re, again, and the adjective suffix ent, we can construct the English word reticent. Someone is reticent who prefers to keep silent, whether out of shyness, embarrassment, or fear of revealing what should not be revealed. The idea of againness in the prefix has been lost in the current meaning of the word. We have frequently made nouns out of adjectives. Write two possible noun forms of reticent: blank, or less commonly, blank. 3. Talk, talk, talk. Loquacious people love to talk. This adjective is not necessarily a put-down, but the implication, when you so characterize such people, is that you wish they would pause for breath once in a while so that you can get your licks in. The noun is loquacity, or of course, loquaciousness. The word derives from Latin loquor, to speak, a root found also in one soliloquy, a speech to oneself, loquer plus solus, alone, or etymologically, a speech when alone. We often talk to ourselves, but usually silently, the words going through our minds but not actually passing our lips. The term soliloquy is commonly applied to utterances made in a play by characters who are speaking their thoughts aloud, so the audience won't have to guess. The soliloquist may be alone, or other members of the cast may be present on stage, but of course they don't hear what's being said because they're not supposed to know. Eugene O'Neill made novel uses of soliloquies in Morning Becomes Electra. The characters made honest disclosures of their feelings and thoughts to the audience, but kept the other players in the dark. The verb is to soliloquize. 2. A ventriloquist is one who can throw his voice. A listener thinks the sound is coming from some source other than the person speaking. The combining root is Latin venter, ventris, belly. Etymologically, ventriloquism is the art of speaking from the belly. The adjective is ventriloquistic. Can you figure out how the verb will end? Write the verb blank. 3. Colloquial combines loquer, to speak, with the prefix con. Con is spelled col, before a root starting with L, cor, before a root starting with R, com, before a root starting with M, P, or B. When people speak together, they are engaging in conversation, and their language is usually more informal and less rigidly grammatical than what you might expect in writing or in public addresses. Colloquial patterns are perfectly correct. They are simply informal and suitable to everyday conversation. A colloquialism, therefore, is a conversational style expression like "he hasn't got any" or "who are you going with?" as contrasted to the formal or literary "he has none" or "with whom are you going?" Colloquial English is the English you and I talk on everyday occasions. It is not slangy, vulgar, or illiterate. 4. A circumlocution is, etymologically, a talking around, around. Any way of expressing an idea that is roundabout or indirect is circumlocutory. You are now familiar with the common adjective suffix "ori." Review of etymology. Prefix, root, suffix meaning. 1. Taceo, to be silent. 2. Eti, noun, suffix. 3. Ness, noun suffix. 4. Ent, adjective suffix. 5. Ents, ensi, noun suffix. 6. Re, again. 7. Loquer, to speak. 8. Solus, alone. 9. Ist, one who. 10. Eyes, verb, suffix. 11. Venter, ventris, belly. 12. Ic, adjective suffix. 13. Aus, adjective suffix. 14. Con, col, com, cor with, together. 15. Al, adjective suffix. 16. Ism, noun suffix. Working with the words. Can you pronounce the words? 1. Taciturnity. 2. Tacit. 3. Tacitness. 4. Reticent. 5. Reticence. 6. Reticency. 7. Loquaciousness. 8. Loquacity. 9. Soliloquy. 10. Soliloquist. 11th. Soliloquize. 12. Ventriloquist. 13th. Ventriloquism. 14. Ventriloquistic. 15. Ventriloquize. 16. Colloquial. 17. Colloquialism. 18. Circumlocution. 19. Circumlocutory. Can you work with the words? A. Unwillingness to talk or disclose out of fear, shyness, reserve, etc. B. Talking or a speech to oneself. C. Art of throwing one's voice. D. Unwillingness to engage in conversation. E. Informal expression used in everyday conversation. F. State of being understood though not actually expressed. G. A talking around. Method of talking indirectly or in a roundabout way. Do you understand the words? 1. A tacit understanding is put into words, true or false. 2. Inhibited people are seldom reticent about expressing anger, true or false. 3. A soliloquist expresses his thoughts aloud, True or false? 4. A ventriloquistic performance on stage involves a dummy who appears to be talking. True or false? 5. A colloquial style of writing is ungrammatical. True or false? 6. Circumlocutory speech is direct and forthright. True or false? 7. Inarticulate people are generally given to loquaciousness. True or false? 8. A soliloquy is a dialogue. True or false? Can you recall the words? 1. To speak to oneself. 2. To throw one's voice. 3. Unwillingness to engage in conversation. 4. Unspoken. 5. Referring to an indirect roundabout style of expression. 6. Suitable for informal conversation. 7. Talkativeness. 8. Reluctance to express one's feelings or thoughts. 9. A speech to oneself, especially in a play. 10. An indirect roundabout expression. End of Session 25.